All right, welcome everyone. We're diving deep into the world of human rights officers today, you know, getting ready for that big interview.
Yeah,
And we're here to help you out
absolutely.
using some fantastic resources from RoleCatcher,
Great
their
resources.
career guide and their interview guide.
They're
So,
not just about,
yeah,
knowing the job description. It's about
it's about going deeper.
going deeper,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
understanding all the little details and having those answers that really
Really hit home. Yeah.
hit home.
Some
So
secrets.
first, let's unpack, what does a human rights officer actually do? The career guide talks about investigating those violations, creating plans to reduce them,
Mhm.
making sure everyone's following those human rights laws.
Right, but what does that actually
What does that look like?
look like in the real world?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a real mix of detective work, legal expertise, and social advocacy.
Interesting.
You might be, examining information one day, the next day interviewing victims or perpetrators.
Yeah. And then working with organizations or government agencies to put those solutions into place.
Solutions into place. It sounds like it's a pretty dynamic role,
It is.
for sure. And speaking of dynamic, the career guide also mentions field work and travel.
Yes.
So does that idea of, not being stuck behind a desk and maybe even working internationally appeal to you?
It's a huge draw for a lot of people. Imagine working on cases that span borders, seeing the direct impact of your work in so many different communities. But we have to talk about the challenging parts of this job.
Yeah, for sure.
Emotionally charged situations, potential danger. You really need to be resilient.
Yeah, I think that's where
Absolutely.
the career guide is really great because it's refreshingly honest
Yeah.
about those pros and cons. Meaningful work, for sure, but potentially high stress, the international exposure,
Yeah.
but maybe not a CEO salary.
Right. You have to think about those.
Thinking about those trade-offs is really important.
Absolutely. But now let's get to the heart of what we're here for, interview prep.
Okay, let's do it.
The interview guide
Yeah.
is just packed with potential questions, and the way you answer them can make all the difference.
Yeah, no pressure, right?
No pressure at all.
Okay, let's jump right in. One question that caught my eye was, can you describe a time when you had to navigate a difficult human rights issue in the workplace?
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. I mean, it might seem daunting, but the interview guide actually suggests that this is a golden opportunity
Yeah.
to really showcase those problem-solving skills.
Absolutely. It's that classic behavioral question.
Yeah.
They want to see how you've handled real-world situations.
Yeah.
So think about a specific example. What was the issue? What steps did you take? And most importantly, what was the outcome? Don't just tell them what happened. Walk them through your thinking process.
Oh, that's such good advice. And I imagine tying it back
Yes.
to those human rights principles is really key here, showing that you can apply that theory to practice. All right, how about this one? How do you balance the needs of different stakeholders in human rights work, such as government officials, community members, and advocacy groups?
Yeah.
I mean, that feels like you're walking a tightrope.
It definitely requires some finesse. The career guide talks about typical interactions, emphasizing that this role often puts you right at the intersection
Oh, yeah.
of diverse and sometimes conflicting
Right.
perspectives.
Yeah.
And the interviewer really wants to see that you can understand those needs, find that common ground, and build consensus while staying true to those human rights principles.
Wow. So it's not just about knowing the law. It's about communication, diplomacy, maybe even a bit of negotiation. What kind of follow-up questions do you think an interviewer might ask to dig deeper into this?
They might ask about a time you had to mediate a conflict, persuade someone with a different viewpoint, or maybe build a coalition around a common goal.
Yeah.
They're looking for evidence that you can navigate those complex interpersonal dynamics.
I see. So that's where those soft skills listed in the career guide, active listening, social perceptiveness,
Exactly.
all of that really comes into play. You really need to be able to hear and understand those perspectives,
Yes.
even when they differ from your own.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can really help.
Oh, interesting.
It analyzes that specific job description and suggests ways to highlight the skills and experiences that are most relevant to that employer.
So it's like having a personalized coach,
It is.
tailoring your answers
Yeah.
to each specific opportunity.
Absolutely.
That's incredible.
It is.
Okay, let's look at another question. This one feels incredibly relevant in today's world. How do you ensure that your work is culturally sensitive and responsive to the needs of diverse communities?
This is a big one. It really speaks to the growing awareness of intersectionality in human rights work. Think of it this way. A woman facing discrimination might experience that not just because of her gender, but also because of her race,
Yeah.
religion, or socioeconomic status. It's about recognizing how all those different forms of marginalization
Yeah.
intersect and really impact people's lives.
Wow, that's such a clear way to explain intersectionality.
Hmm.
So how can someone really approach this question effectively, especially if they haven't had, tons of experience working with diverse communities yet?
It starts with acknowledging that cultural sensitivity is really important
Okay.
and understanding how different cultural contexts can shape those human rights experiences. Have you taken courses, read books, or even done things in your personal life that have broadened that cultural awareness? Highlight those things.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to talk about that commitment to ongoing learning, too.
Right.
The career guide emphasizes the need to stay updated in this constantly evolving field. So reading publications, attending webinars,
Mm-hmm.
joining relevant organizations. All of that shows initiative. Now, before we move on to more questions,
Okay.
I want to touch on something that really stood out to me in the career guide. That section on career stages.
Yeah, that's a really valuable roadmap. It outlines that progression from entry level to principal human rights officer. Understanding the responsibilities and growth paths in the field can help you target your job search and talk about your career goals during the interview.
Right. So as you're listening, think about where you see yourself fitting in. Are you just starting out, eager to learn and assist? Or do you have years of experience and you're ready to lead and shape initiatives?
Mm-hmm.
Visualizing those goals can add clarity and purpose to your answers.
Absolutely. And RoleCatcher can help with that too.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Its AI analyzes your experience and aspirations
Okay.
and suggests roles that really align with your goals. It can even give feedback on your resume and cover letter
Wow.
to make sure you're putting your best foot forward.
That's incredible. It's like
Oh.
having a personalized career advisor right in your pocket.
It is. It's like having a personalized career advisor in your pocket.
Speaking of personalized advice, let's get back to those interview questions.
This next one from the interview guide really puts your advocacy skills to the test.
Okay.
How do you approach advocacy work in the face of opposition or resistance?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Human rights work is rarely easy, and you're bound to encounter pushback.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So they want to see that you're not easily discouraged,
Right.
and you can find ways to advance human rights even when it's tough.
So it's really a question about resilience and strategic thinking.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think of a time when you had to persuade someone, navigate a disagreement, or stand up for something you believe in.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a formal human rights setting.
Right.
Maybe you volunteered for a cause you care about,
Yeah.
or had a tough conversation with someone who held a different viewpoint.
I see.
The interview guide emphasizes drawing on those experiences to showcase your ability to communicate effectively, build relationships,
Okay.
and advocate for change, even when you face resistance.
So what kind of things should we highlight when answering this question?
Highlight the challenges you face, the strategies you used,
Joe?
and the outcomes you achieved.
Okay, got it.
Did you find common ground? Did you change someone's mind? Did you learn something valuable from the experience?
Yeah, those are all great points.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about working with international human rights bodies.
Okay.
The interview guide mentions questions about the UN, the International Criminal Court, and other organizations. Not everyone will have direct experience with these institutions.
Right.
So how should someone approach this if they haven't worked with them directly?
Even without direct experience, you can still show your knowledge and interest.
Okay.
Have you studied the Universal Declaration of Human Rights or the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights?
Okay.
Have you followed high-profile cases at the International Criminal Court?
Yeah.
Have you researched the work of specific UN agencies or NGOs?
It all goes back to staying updated, right? Like the career guide says,
Absolutely.
reading publications,
Yes.
attending webinars, joining relevant organizations.
Mm-hmm.
It shows initiative and genuine interest,
It does.
even without that direct work experience.
And you can connect your existing skills and experiences to the work of these international bodies.
Well, interesting. How so?
Have you done any research, analysis, or advocacy that aligns with their missions? Highlight those connections.
Okay, let's dive into a question that's become super important in recent years.
Okay.
How do you incorporate an intersectional approach into your human rights work?
For those who might not be familiar with this concept, how would you explain intersectionality in simple terms?
Imagine a woman facing discrimination, not just because of her gender, but also because of her race and economic background. That's intersectionality.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that people's experiences are shaped by multiple
Yeah.
intercepting factors.
So a strong answer to this question will show that you really understand this concept
Absolutely.
and how you apply it in practice.
You might discuss your experience working with diverse communities,
Okay.
your understanding of systemic inequalities.
Or your commitment to inclusive advocacy strategies.
Got it.
Have you ever had to tailor your approach to consider the unique needs of a particular group or individual? Share those examples.
This next question from the interview guide is all about ethical decision-making.
Okay.
Can you describe a time when you had to make a difficult ethical decision in your human rights work? This feels intensely personal,
It is.
and I imagine it can be really tough to talk about situations where you've had to grapple with those choices.
It can be, but remember, the interviewer isn't looking for perfection.
Right.
They want to see your thought process, your values, and your ability to handle complex situations with integrity.
So the interview guide suggests focusing on how you approach the decision
Yes.
and what you learned from the experience, even if the outcome wasn't ideal.
Walk them through your reasoning.
Okay.
What were the competing values? Who are the stakeholders involved? And what were the potential consequences of different actions?
Honesty and self-reflection are key here.
They are.
If you can demonstrate that you carefully consider the ethical implications of your actions
Yes.
and made a decision based on principles, that speaks volumes.
It does.
And even if you made a mistake,
Yeah.
showing that you reflected on it
Exactly.
and learned from it
Right.
is so valuable.
It shows commitment to personal growth,
Absolutely.
which is essential in this field.
Speaking of growth, let's touch on the importance of networking and collaboration.
Okay.
The interview guide asks, how do you approach building partnerships with diverse organizations and individuals to advance human rights goals?
This one highlights the collaborative nature of human rights work. It's rare that any single organization or individual can achieve meaningful change alone.
Right, that's why building coalitions and leveraging those diverse perspectives is so crucial.
It is.
Think about your own experiences. Have you ever collaborated with other organizations or individuals to achieve a shared goal?
Yeah. Maybe you've volunteered with a coalition,
Right.
participated in a campaign, or even just connected with someone who brought a different skill set or perspective to the table.
I see.
Highlight those examples to show your ability to work effectively with others.
And I imagine those communication and interpersonal skills are super important here.
Absolutely. The career guide emphasizes their importance, and
Yeah.
they're essential for building strong partnerships, being able to listen actively, communicate clearly,
Yeah.
and build trust with people from diverse backgrounds is key.
Now, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools.
Yes.
We talked about how they can help tailor your answers to specific job roles. But can you elaborate on how this actually works?
Let's say you're preparing for that question about balancing stakeholder needs.
Okay.
You input your experiences into RoleCatcher, and
Right.
its AI analyzes that specific job description you're targeting,
Okay.
identifying keywords related to collaboration, diplomacy, and communication.
So it's not just giving you generic advice.
No.
It's tailoring its suggestions to the specific needs of the employer.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Then, based on what you've inputted, it suggests ways to frame your response,
Oh.
highlighting the skills and experiences that are most relevant to that particular employer.
That's incredible. It's like having a personalized interview coach right in your pocket.
It really is.
What other features does RoleCatcher's AI offer to help with interview preparation?
It can analyze your writing style, checking for clarity,
Yes.
conciseness, and impact.
Wow.
It can even flag potential issues,
Like what?
like using jargon or being too vague.
So it's not just about what you say,
No,
it's also about how you say it.
exactly.
The way you communicate your skills and experience is just as important as the content itself.
It is?
RoleCatcher helps you refine that message, ensuring that it's clear, compelling,
Yes.
and tailored to your target audience.
I'm also remembering that RoleCatcher has a feature for practicing those interview questions, video.
Does the AI give feedback on those practice sessions as well?
It does.
Wow.
Tell me more.
The AI analyzes your video, providing feedback on your body language, tone of voice,
Okay.
and overall presentation.
So it's like having a virtual mock interview
It
with a personal coach.
It's pretty amazing how technology can be used to empower individuals in their career journey.
It really is. It's about democratizing access to information and resources.
Exactly.
And with those insights from RoleCatcher's career and interview guides, combined with those powerful AI tools,
Yes.
you'll be well equipped to showcase your passion,
Absolutely.
your skills, and your knowledge to potential employers.
Okay, we've covered a lot,
We have.
but there are always more questions and insights to explore.
Right.
Let's continue this deep dive in the next part. We will delve into some more nuanced aspects of human rights work
Okay.
and how to ace that interview.
Okay, so we talked about navigating those tricky interview questions.
Yes.
Showcasing your skills.
But let's not forget the bigger picture here, right?
Right.
The career guide really emphasizes staying updated.
Yes.
It's absolutely crucial
It is.
in this constantly evolving field.
Yeah.
So what are some ways our listener can really stay ahead of the curve?
It's all about continuous learning.
Okay.
Think beyond those textbooks and those traditional courses. Subscribe to journals like Human Rights Quarterly.
Okay.
Follow organizations like Human Rights Watch or Amnesty International.
Yeah.
Attend webinars. There's just a wealth of knowledge out there.
Yeah, for sure. And the career guide also mentions those knowledge and learning resources, highlighting specific publications and organizations. It even suggests joining professional networks to connect with other human rights professionals.
Networking can be so valuable
Yeah.
for sharing knowledge and experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't underestimate the power of mentorship.
Yes.
Finding someone experienced in the field who can offer guidance and support can make a huge difference in your career journey.
A huge difference.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to touch on something that really sparked my curiosity in the career guide,
Yeah.
the industry trends section.
Okay.
It hints at how technology might actually reshape human rights work in the future.
It's a fascinating question.
It is. Any thoughts on what the future holds?
We've already seen how RoleCatcher's AI can personalize career guidance in interview prep.
Right.
Imagine AI being used to analyze vast data sets of human rights violations, identifying patterns, and even predicting potential hotspots.
That's incredible. It could revolutionize how we respond to crises
Yeah.
and protect vulnerable populations.
And think about virtual reality.
Okay, yeah.
It could be used to create those immersive experiences that raise awareness of human rights issues,
Okay.
allowing people to step into the shoes of those affected
Yeah.
and fostering empathy on a deeper level.
Those are such powerful examples of how technology can really be a force for good in the human rights field. It's exciting to think about the possibilities.
It is. And as you're embarking on this career path,
Yeah.
I encourage you to stay curious about those possibilities. How can you use your skills and knowledge to contribute to a future where technology is harnessed to advance human rights?
That's a fantastic question to ponder. As we wrap up this deep dive, I just want to reiterate those incredible resources that RoleCatcher offers.
Yes.
It's not just for interview prep. It's a comprehensive platform for anyone who's serious about building a career in human rights.
From the career guide's in-depth insights to the interview guide's practical tips and the AI-powered tools that personalize your approach, RoleCatcher is an invaluable ally in your journey.
So to our listener, explore RoleCatcher. Delve into those guides. Take advantage of all it has to offer.
Absolutely.
We're confident that with thorough preparation and a passion for making a difference, you'll ace that interview
You will.
and embark on a rewarding career in human rights.
Best of luck.
Best of luck.
And remember, the pursuit of human rights is a continuous journey of learning, growth, and collaboration. Stay engaged, stay curious,
Yes,
and never stop advocating for a more just and equitable world.
absolutely. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It was a pleasure.